What's going on, guys? This is Travesty here, bringing you another Showdown replay with the Hoopa team I used in a recent session. So, I'm just going to go through the team again because I've changed things a little bit. I'm also using it in the OU No Mega tier, which I actually enjoy a bit more than OU because it's a lot less broken because you don't have to worry about quite as much. But in any case, so I've made a few changes, namely HP Ice is now HP Fire on Hoopa, because things like Gliscor, Garchomp, Landorus, I was 2 carrying this Psychic anyway, and given this thing is usually my late game sweeper, they were already worn down to the point where I didn't need HP Ice, I could just click Psychic, and things like Ferrothorn and Scizor have actually been much more of a problem, because I'm not carrying fighting coverage, so it means I am still walled to a certain extent by things like Umbreon, and Mandibuzz, but I have other ways to deal with those two, most of which relies on Terrakion, which is my replacement for Mega Heracross because it deals with the things that wall Hoopa, basically. Just max physical attack, adamant with a Life Orb. Justified in case I get knocked off, because a lot of people do try and knock off Hoopa. It's not... The Unbound form isn't as much of a knockoff bait as normal form, but in any case, we just have 4 attacks. I have X-Scissor on there, mostly for bulky psychics, like Mew. Also does hit the other dark types in case you've got a 50-50 prediction, you can go for the middle ground of X-Scissor. The other 3 moves are all pretty standard. Close Combat just nukes things, oh my lord. Then I changed the Choice Band on Talonflame because I found it's nice to be able to Tailwind and then U-turn out. Into something that can benefit it, or to sack one of the other mons to get Terrakion or Hoopa in. Whimsicott's the exact same. I've got a Skarmory, I'm pretty sure that's what we had before, the exact same. Rocky Helmet. I'm still not 100% sure about this set. Sometimes I really want Brave Bird, sometimes I want Rocks and Defog on the same mon, but I don't know, it's worked so far pretty well, so I'm just going to leave it. Plus that's what I use for the replay. And then I have Seismitoad instead of Keldeo because I felt like I needed another switch in. It is physically defensive as well, so I don't really have a special wall, which is a little bit of a problem, but it's nice to just have a free switch into water type moves. I might change it to specially defensive, but I have a Whimsicott to take on things like Keldeo, and I don't know. So this is just Knockoff, Scald, Rest, and Stealth Rock. I did have Earthquake on there for the replay I'm about to show you, but I changed it for Rest after playing a couple other games, and this thing kept getting toxicked or burned and then getting worn down really quickly, and it's really nice to keep around for the late game in times, just because of that immunity, which you will see in the replay. So, I'm going to start the replay now. Without further ado, finish the team analysis, and we are against Belluomo, who, if you have a look at the OU No Mega ladder, he was pretty high before this game. I think he was about 20th, and we're climbing, we're in the top 100. It's really hard to go much further because it's hard to find games and such, but in any case, so he's bringing a pretty spooky team. I don't like that Ferrothorn because I think I did have HP Fire on Hoopa, but it's just a bit annoying. I do have like that Talonflame and Terrakion, but it's just Ferrothorn just annoys the piss out of me because I can't switch things into it because that Gyro Ball just OHKOs Terrakion, and Talonflame doesn't like taking rocks damage, all that kind of stuff. I'm not really worried about the Rotom because I have Seismitoad, which just walls the hell out of it. I also have Whimsicott, which does pretty good at beating it. I also have Terrakion and Hoopa both 2-hit KO it easily, so Rotom's not a problem. Heatran, I will need to figure out if it's Scarf or Balloon or whatever. Hopefully if I can get Tailwind up, I can just sweep through that. One thing I'm noticing is Close Combat 2-hit KOs pretty much everything. I think not quite a 2-hit KO on Azumarill from memory, but it does 2-hit KO everything else, even though both Thundurus and Latios resist it, because Terrakion is a fucking monster. Adamant Life Orb Terrakion is a fucking monster. In any case, Hoopa looks like it could also do work if I could get in under Tailwind, but I do want to preserve that Seismitoad for Azumarill just in case it is banded, and then I can stop it from being able to Aqua Jet kill things like Terrakion and Hoopa. I think I end up leading with... I can't actually remember. I think I lead with Toad just to get my rocks up, as he leads with Rotom. I can't remember exactly what happens actually. Let's get into it. He leads with Rotom, definitely. I lead with Talonflame. I was sort of expecting Ferrothorn lead. I do just go into Seismitoad here. I'm just going to slow this down a little bit. He Volt switches, which is fine. I was a real lefty, so I know this is bulky Rotom. I decided to set up my rocks here. Good opportunity to wear some things down, particularly that Thunderous. If I can get after Stealth Rock's damage, it gets OHKO'd by goddamn close combat. He gets up his own rocks, which I don't like, because I do want to be able to switch my Talonflame in a couple of times, and here I'm just fishing for the burn. I'm also scouting for the grass coverage, which he reveals, and misses, which is pretty big, because Seismitoad ends up being a pain for him later in the game. I switch into Skarmory here. I got a bit lucky there with that miss, and he actually misses again, but that one doesn't matter at all, because it does like 2% to Skarmory. It would actually do more to him because of the Rocky Helmet. So I decided to just defog here, just to get the rocks away, and a couple of times I was considering doubling into Talonflame to scare out this thing. I actually go into Terrakion here because it hits his team a lot harder. I just fire off for close combat. I was predicting Stealth Rocks there as he, Skarmory can't touch that thing. I do just nuke this Rotom. He didn't really have much he could switch in there. I think even the Azumarill gets 2-KO'd, honestly. I go for the Stone Edge thinking he might want to get cheeky and go into like Thunderous, because then he'd start speed. But no, he does stay in. I do connect, which is nice. He brings in Latios, and I go into Whimsicott. This thing is basically just here to set up Tailwind, then die, which is what I decided to do here. I decided to set up Tailwind, because at this point, if I can get Terrakion in, even without Rocks up, I can kind of just destroy things. So I set up the Tailwind, but I do end up going into Skarmory, because I don't want to switch anything in on this Ferrothorn, particularly because with the Tailwind up, Gyro Ball is going to be doing a lot. It does take Rocky Helmet damage here. I need to keep this Skarmory healthy, so here I just decide to roost up. It's really nice as a backup for the Azumarill and to take on the Ferrothorn. I do go into Whimsicott, kind of just sacking it off to be honest, but I actually live. That is literally 1 HP. I checked, it is a 1 HP Whimsicott right now. My Tailwind peters out, but I do outspeed Thunderous anyway. I decided to just go for a Moonblast. I decided to go for Tailwind, hoping he might kill me, then I can bring in one of my threats. Here I just go for Moonblast because I want him to kill off Whimsicott. It's unfortunate waste a turn of Tailwind, but whatever. Now I can bring in Terrakion and once again nuke things, because that's what this monster does. So he brings in Thunderous, and that does a huge amount of damage. I'm expecting, I figure if he T-Waves me, it's not a problem, but he did show Knockoff, and most of them, if they're carrying Knockoff, they're 4 attacks and don't have priority, that can be defiant. So I decided to stay in and just take out the Thunderous. It was a bit of an annoyance, so he brings in a Azumarill. I decided to go into Seismitoad, and this is partly to scout. So he goes for the Aqua Jet, and I Water Absorb that up, and then I go into Skarmory to scout to see if he's banded, because Play Rough does a lot to Seismitoad. So he decides to switch out and go into Latios. So I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's banded at the moment. I decided to stay in and defog here, because I have switch-ins for Latios, particularly given that looks like Scarf damage, because he didn't reveal a Life Orb. He does go for HP Fire again, and that's not doing much to even a physically defensive Seismitoad. So here I decided to just get Rocks up again. I think I probably should have gone into Skarmory or Talonflame or something, expecting Ferrothorn. I actually go for Knockoff. Yeah, that wasn't my best play. I go for Knockoff, hoping he might stay in, just to also scout to see if he might be Scarfed. And after that, I'm pretty sure he is. He misses a Leech Seed here, which is a bit annoying for him because he doesn't get that recovery. And here I decided to switch into Talonflame, expecting him to go for Rocks. Then I set up the Tailwind because I was expecting him to switch out into Heatran. And also had a calc open which showed that Flare Blitz plus Brave Bird should 2-hit KO, should be able to take out this Azumarill. Unfortunately, I forgot to take into account Leech Seed, and he's actually running max HP, which the calc ran a little bit of a decent speed creep, like 70 points or so. So Brave Bird doesn't take him out, and Aqua Jet does finish me off. Talonflame wasn't the most important thing. This is the only priority he has left, and I'm 99% sure it's banded right now. So I can just bring in Seismitoad. I go for the Earthquake, partly because it does the most damage to Ferrothorn, and partly because it would have taken out Azumarill at the range it was at. Here I decided to switch out into my Skarmory because I can take any hit, even a Leech Seed, I will live, and I can decide just roost back up, get this thing back healthy, so I have 2 potential walls for that Azumarill in the endgame. I roost up here as he gets Leech Seed, which is keeping this Ferrothorn alive, which is really annoying. So he switches out here. I think as I defog, I roost up, definitely want to keep Skarmory healthy. It's really important in the late game. So he goes into Latios, and I go into Seismitoad, expecting either HP Fire or maybe Draco, because I could take a Draco. he actually tricks me, and I thought I would outspeed maybe, but no, I don't. I do take that Draco and knock off, which is nice to get. Means you can't out lefties and bring him down quite a bit. I decide to switch out here and preserve Seismitoad because it means Azumarill can't lock itself into Aqua Jet, which it will need to take down Hoopa and Terrakion. So anyway, I bring in Skarmory, defrog the rocks away, just because I don't like them being there, as he sets up Leech Seed, and then I Tailwind, and I decided that at this point I need to bring in a sweeper. What I do is I switch into Hoopa. I'm actually sacking it, because at this point Hoopa will die to an Aqua Jet, and not sure if it can actually kill Azumarill, whereas Terrakion, actually I can't remember. Basically, I feel like Terrakion would be more useful than Hoopa. I think Hoopa actually had HP Ice for this game, so I couldn't have taken out the Ferrothorn, which is why I sent it in. Anyway, he brings in the Azumarill, and I go into Seismitoad expecting Aqua Jet, because if he doesn't Aqua Jet, I can go back into Terrakion and fire off another close combat and kill something. So he does give me a little bit of HP back. I go for the knockoff because it looks, with a high roll, it would have killed his Latios. Unfortunately, it doesn't, and I stay in expecting. I was kind of just sacking Seismitoad off, which probably would have been my best play, but I do actually live on 3%, and at this point, I do just stay in, get hit by that flash cannon, and go down. But now I can bring in Terrakion. I know I outspeed this Heatran, and the reason I let Seismitoad die is because now if he locks Azumarill in, if he doesn't lock Azumarill into close comp into Aqua Jet, I kill it. And here I just let Terrakion die, and I can bring in Skarmory. He will die to Rocky Helmet damage before he can take me out. So that was the plan with letting Seismitoad go down, just get damage on things. As you can see, Aqua Jet doesn't quite take me out. If he got a crit, it would have, and that would have been unfortunate, but probably fair enough with all the hacks I got earlier. I just managed to roost up, getting the Rocky Helmet damage on him, playing it really, really safe, and I finished the game with Skarmory. Anyway, that's basically how the team works. Set up Tailwind, sack something, bring in one of the two sweepers, destroy them. I've had a couple of games where Tailwind felt like it hasn't lasted as long. It's really annoying, because it says 4 turns, but that really means 3, because it counts the end of the turn you use it as 1 turn. So that's really frustrating sometimes, because if you had 4 turns, it means you can clean up more than half their team, or if you 2-hit carry something, it means you can take out half their team. But in any case, I am really enjoying this team. I think that's probably going to be our last session with it, though, because I'm getting a bit sick of the Tailwind style of play. But I hope you guys did enjoy watching this, and I will see you in my next upload.